Last year, my junior year, I was in charge of elections for homecoming, and I was ecstatic. I always wanted to chair that committee ever since I was a freshman. Told my family about it, and they were all excited for me, especially my sister, Allie. She was a senior at the time. Allie was even more enthusiastic than I was, which at first wasn't weird because we were very close. Then she started saying things like, "You should make sure I win homecoming queen." I laughed it off, and that was pretty much it. The ballots came out and she wasn't chosen to be on court. She came home from school absolutely livid. I was in the kitchen with our dad when she stormed in and started screaming at me. "How could you do this? I thought you were going to make sure I was elected." I said, "I thought you were joking. You know I can't do that." I was super uncomfortable and looked to my dad for help, but he already fled the room to get my mom. She continued shouting about how I ruined her senior experience and how I was the worst sister ever. I started crying because I felt so bad, and she wouldn't let me get a word in about how I literally could not rig the ballots for her. My mom came in and dragged her out. She took Allie's side, but my dad and little brother had my back. Things were super weird for a while, but eventually she dropped it and we were fine. Until a week ago. So now I am a senior, and Allie is a freshman in college. Homecoming court came up again, and this time I was elected queen. My whole family was excited for me, and Mom took a photo of me in the crown and sent it to our extended family. Allie didn't respond to the text, but drove down from college that night to scream at me. She accused me of rigging the election, which wasn't true because I had no access to the ballots. She said that I'm jealous of her and that I always want to one-up her, so I sabotaged her chances of being queen. I finally snapped and said, "Maybe if you weren't such a bee to everyone, you would have been voted in." Allie was a mean girl in high school, and while I shouldn't have said that, it is very much true. She said back then there was no way I would have been voted in by my peers because nobody wants to vote in. She used a hate-filled derogatory term. I am bi, and she was the only one who knew. She outed me in front of my whole family. I started crying and locked myself in my room. My dad and little brother support me, but my mom wouldn't talk to me for days. My mom came to talk to me last night and said I need to tell Allie that I'm sorry and give her my crown. She said it's not fair that I won queen and Allison didn't. So, to patch things up, I need to hand over my crown because my sister deserves it. She also said some things about my sexuality that I'd rather not repeat. I was livid and told her no. At this point, I don't even care about it anymore. They ruined it for me, but I refuse to give it to my sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. How would you be the a-hole here? Your family is insane. Not the a-hole. And I know where your sister got her entitled, cheating, crappy attitude from. Absolutely under no circumstances do you let her even look at your crown, because you were right about her. I'm sorry you don't have a loving, supportive mom. I'm glad you have a great dad and brother. Your sister is going to self-destruct when she enters the real world, as very few people are going to find her qualities appealing as a partner or employee. Actually, she's perfectly suited for politics. Ignore her. She's an evil troll who is so jealous of you she drove from college to scream at you. You need to have a serious discussion with your dad about your mom. She's just the worst, and clearly favors your sister. That's no way to go through life. I still can't believe she would have the audacity to tell you to give your sister your crown. That's wrong on so many levels. Not the a-hole. It's a real failure in parenting when you allow one child to dominate the family. Both of your parents have a lot to answer for. They don't want to put up with your sister's tantrums, so they're making you suffer for it. Your mother is endorsing your sister's nonsense, and your dad is looking the other way. Don't give in to them. If you get into the habit of backing down, it will just get worse. So, to add some context, I, 24 male, have been dating my partner, 22 female, for around 3 years. We've lived together for most of it. I'm not the biggest fan of her family, but up until this point, I didn't mind spending time with them as it makes my girlfriend happy. So we had a sit-down meal with her family, and we were all just chatting after we had finished dinner. My girlfriend's sister, 17 female, we'll call her Grace, went into the fridge and asked my girlfriend if she could have the last chocolate pudding my girlfriend bought. My girlfriend said no, as she fancied it. Grace kept asking, and my girlfriend kept saying no. Each time she asked would progressively get louder and louder. I didn't say anything at this point as I thought it was a typical sibling argument. It seemed very petty to me. Grace is shouting and whining at this point, honestly reminding me of how a toddler might behave. Their dad has been silent this entire time, and their mom said to give her the pudding, as it's a nice thing to do. My girlfriend said no and didn't understand why her answer wasn't being respected. Grace then brings up when she looked after my girlfriend when she was ill, and that because she was nice then, she should be nice now. My girlfriend is distressed as Grace is screaming about it. My girlfriend asks what I think. I said to Grace that she undermined her kind act by using it as leverage to get what she wants. Grace says, but karma works, that if you do nice things and nice things will happen to you. Her mom nods in agreement. I sat there a bit bewildered. So, after being sick of hearing a teenager scream over a chocolate pudding, I said, "That isn't karma. You're just being emotionally manipulative to get what you want. People that believe in karma don't demand nice things happen to them." As a bit of side context, I'm a philosophy graduate, and whenever I hear karma misinterpreted, it irks me a bit, as it's a beautiful piece of Indian philosophy, and the West has kinda crapped all over it. Grace loses her crap at me, screams I'ma see you next Tuesday, and she wishes my girlfriend never met me, then rushes out of the room. Her parents have said nothing. They both just say nothing. I sat there waiting for them to discipline their child, but nothing is said. So I just politely make my excuses and leave to my girlfriend's room. My girlfriend comes up and hugs me. My girlfriend opened up to me that she often feels that she is held to a different standard as she's the eldest. Her parents 100% blame me for the situation and are furious that I got involved. They expected me to apologize. I did not. I'm not really angry at Grace. She's still young, and I actually blame her parents for not disciplining her at all. It might be easy to blame the outsider, but the only person that will suffer in the future is Grace when she realizes that only family could put up with that. So, am I the a-hole for getting involved when asked, or was I just doing what partners do, which is defend them when they're distressed? Not the a-hole. This is a 17-year-old losing her stuff over a cup of pudding, like it's the last vial of insulin on Earth. Like, what the duck? How aren't her parents utterly humiliated by the display? And yes, bringing literal spirituality and karma into it like a weapon is no better than when evangelical fundamentalists do it. It is manipulative and over-putting. Can the 17-year-old get out and walk down to the local bodega and go nuts in the Jell-O aisle, as pudding is the be-all end-all of existence? If Stu Pickles could do it at 4 a.m. She frankly owed your girlfriend a massive apology for humiliating her in front of you, and I'd never go over there again. Not the a-hole. Grace is throwing a tantrum, and her family has taught her it's a winning strategy because they cave and enable her. It might help to start a slightly different tactic. Are you done throwing a tantrum? Are you ready to talk like a rational person? Not the a-hole. You got involved because your girlfriend asked for your support as she was being ganged up on by 3 people. Grace's behavior was appalling. It is unbelievable to me that a 17-year-old person hasn't developed the skill set necessary to hear and accept the word no. Everything you said was correct and in no way harsh, and Grace is in for a shock when she goes out into the world. This will be all her parents' fault. A little bit of backstory is needed for this one. I, 24 female, went to art school and freelanced for a while before I started working as a photographer for a modeling company. My boyfriend, 24 male, comes from a very well-off family and is a first-year associate at a good law firm. We've been dating for about 5 years now. We've always gotten along well, and he's always been sweet. His family have never liked me. Recently, I found out that my boyfriend told his family that we had broken up because they were pressuring him to marry a girl they'd set him up with. He'd been going out on dates with this girl without telling me, and when I found out and confronted him, he also confessed that they'd slept together. He claimed that he thought it was okay because he was 90% sure that I'd cheated on him with my roommate anyway. I haven't. The roommate concern is one he's had since we started dating, because he kissed me once when we were younger, not when I was dating boyfriend. After I found out he was cheating on me, he broke it off with the other girl and said that we could go to his family home and take a stand. My roommate said to break up with him, but he begged for another chance. So we visited his family. I was under the impression that we would tell them that it didn't matter if they thought I was good enough for him. But when we got there, my boyfriend told his mother that it was okay if I was never as successful as him, and that it would actually be good if I never did anything with my life, because I would be able to stay home and look after the children in the future. We'd never discussed children before, so this caught me completely off guard. He claimed that after we were married, things would settle down and we could all join together as one family. We've never discussed marriage either. His mother was angry and started to shout at him, saying that she'd already told him to break up with me and that she didn't want to hear what he had to say. She said that he would always be held back by me and that it would be better to marry someone in their social pool. He didn't really defend me at all. I told her that she was a manipulative, cold-hearted bee and that I've been nothing but good to her son and that he was lucky to still have me because he'd been a real D to me. My boyfriend was pissed at me. He says I embarrassed him and he's the laughingstock of the family. His words have always had a strong effect on me. I'm not sure if what I did was out of line, especially because his mother is older than me. I feel bad for blowing up at her in front of her family. It was incredibly disrespectful of me. But my friends say it was all completely valid. I'm still not sure. Am I the a-hole for blowing up at her? Quick edit. I dumped him. I just feel horrible about what I did to his mother. I really want to put yes, the a-hole, just because why were you still with him? You're not the a-hole in any way, except to yourself for keeping up with this idiot. Not the a-hole. He openly admitted to cheating on you to please his mother. Not just dates. He had S with his mother's choice of wife she finds suitable for him. If you for some unknown reason stay with him, this will never end. Your children won't be good enough. Your career won't be good enough. Your house won't be good enough. Cut your losses and tell him to go duck himself along with his mother and her ideal choice girl. Not the a-hole. You may not be in his social pool, but you're way too good for him. This man will never change. If you're thinking you'll spend the rest of your life with him, you've just seen what your future looks like. Something else you need to understand. What he said to his mother is how he truly feels about you. Believe that. Me, female 40, and my ex-husband have 50-50 custody of our daughters. Lisa, female 17, and Jenny, female 15. One of the main reasons I broke up with my husband is that he was aggressive, psychologically, manipulative, and possessive. He used the fact that he was the only one who worked while I was a stay-at-home mom to say that if I asked for a divorce, he would go to hell with the best lawyer in town to get full custody of our daughters. And he was great at hiding that side of him from them. I managed to escape this hell because I received my father's inheritance and hired a great lawyer who guaranteed me 50-50. With the money, I bought a house and live on a great salary. I can't work for physical reasons. But actually, my ex earns a lot more than me. Jenny was the one who encouraged me to go through with the divorce. But Lisa bought into her father's idea that I was destroying our family to be free of the father. Our relationship is very difficult right now. Saturday was Lisa's birthday. The deal was that her father would have the day and I would have the night. Mid-afternoon, Jenny came to the house. My ex-mother-in-law dropped her off here and said that Lisa would be home later. I ordered a cake, appetizers, and invited my family and her friends to the party. She knew about the party. Arrived at night. Around 6 p.m., Lisa called me saying her father invited her to go to a fancy restaurant in town and asked to reschedule the party with everyone for the following week. Keep in mind that 1. The party was at 6:30 p.m. 2. Everything was already bought. 3. It was Lisa who came up with the idea for the party. I was really upset because I would love to be able to take her to this restaurant, but it's too expensive and I can't afford it. I decided to keep the party going so there wouldn't be any food thrown away, and it was a lot of fun. We took pictures, cut cake, and even her friends laughed and continued to party. Lisa arrived around 11 p.m. and looked shocked that there was a party going on. She called me privately asking if I'd had a birthday party without her. I said yes, and she started to say that she asked to reschedule and that I embarrassed her by making her arrive at her own party at the end of it, and that I was being vindictive, and she only went to dinner with her father at the best restaurant in town. She couldn't deny such an opportunity. She is in silent treatment with me, and the ex, being a piece of work that he is, decided he was going to give me a scolding for embarrassing his daughter. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, and you didn't embarrass her. She and your ex did. To call you a half hour before the party starts to reschedule it is ludicrous. Not only did you have the food and decorations, but you might not have had enough to call people and postpone it. And what about the people already en route? The fact of the matter is that she and your ex were being vindictive, and you responded wonderfully. Or, as they say, you got the last laugh. And I suppose that when ex called you, he didn't take responsibility for creating the problem in the first place. As for your daughter, you didn't make her arrive late to her own party. She and your ex did. So they created the problem to be vindictive. Didn't like your response to the problem. So they're mad at you. That's balls. Anyway, good for you for going ahead with the party. They took the low road and you took the high road. Bravo. Not the a-hole. Your daughter was being inconsiderate as hell. Reschedule a party 30 minutes before it starts? She needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her and stop playing into the conflict between you and her dad. If she approaches you about it, tell her that you had to put in a lot of time and effort into her party, and it hurt you a lot when she canceled 30 minutes prior. It was also too late to cancel, and you had spent money on food and cake and taken the time to invite all of these people. Her expecting you to just drop all of that is insane. Not the a-hole. Unfortunately, your daughter is a collateral damage of your manipulative husband, and you too. He will do anything to hurt you. That's why he took your daughter, last minute, to the fanciest restaurant in town. Good on you for being the bigger person. It would be extremely disrespectful to the guests to cancel the party. Plus, disrespectful for the planet, and so many people struggling to buy food to throw that food away. Your daughter needs to grow up. In the meantime, remember yourself. You didn't shame her. She and her dad took that upon themselves.